Hello, everyone. My name is Santosh Sandiachi, and I was born and raised in a very conservative Hindu family in India. Not only that, my father was a very strong conservative Hindu. He was a well-renowned Sanskrit scholar. Sanskrit is the original language most of the Indian languages came from, so he was really well-renowned in that. He was also well-reputed for his priestly activities. Everybody loved him. Everybody had a lot of respect for him. But I took a different route. I came into the technical and engineering field. After completing my studies, I went to Germany for further training. From Germany, I immigrated to Canada. And from Canada, I was transferred to many countries in the world for my job. One night, I had very severe chest and abdomen pains. I was sweating profusely, and everyone thought I was having a heart attack. Paramedics came and took me to the nearest hospital. They also thought that I was having a heart attack, but after several tests, they determined that I did not. My gallstone ruptured, and when it did, it actually punctured the nearby organ, the pancreas, from one end to the other. As a result, the pancreas was wounded and it was bleeding. My heart rate skyrocketed up to 204, and there was no end in sight. To make a long story short, the doctors in the hospital said they could not do anything for me. Up until now, there is no such medication or cure available for what I had. The only thing I could do, the doctor said, was pray and hope. But I did not know to whom to pray, or how to pray, or how to pray. One day I had come back for complications in the hospital, and they performed a wrong procedure, not intentionally, where my lungs got filled with blood. As a result, I went to a code blue situation in the ICU of that hospital. When the code blue happened, everything stopped. Everything went dark for a while, and the last sense I lost was my hearing. Even though I could not see or talk, I could still hear. Through my hearing, I could hear the paramedics came inside the room, and they cleared everyone out. They took over. They tried to revive me, but they failed. That's the last thing that I heard. After that, I went into a deep sleep. But when I went into a deep sleep, I always thought that once I died, there was no such thing as an afterlife. But then I noticed that even though I was physically dead, all the things that God gave me, my capabilities, my analytical capabilities, everything was still functioning. The only thing I did not have was my physical body. At that moment, I had a desperate feeling. What should I do now? I lost my home. Where should I go? What shall I do? At that moment, a bright light appeared before me. When the light came to me, I knew that light had a superior authority, and I had to obey it. When that light came, it was taking me to an unknown destination. I had no other choice. The light surrounded me with its radiance, and because of that, I could not see anything else other than the light. Together, we traveled for an enormous distance. For how long? I don't know. But during the transition, I fell in love with it. I call this divine light, because I knew that its mission was to protect me from any harm that might happen. After the journey stopped, I was wondering, why did the light stop? Then I looked up, and I saw that the light was shining on top of a beautiful compound. It was the most beautiful complex I'd ever seen anywhere. It was truly magnificent. This entire compound was surrounded with high walls all around it, and I desperately wanted to go inside. I tried all around it and saw 12 magnificent gates, but none of those gates were open for me. I could not enter. I knew this was the kingdom of heaven, and that should be my ultimate goal, to enter into the kingdom of heaven. But there was not a single gate that was open for me. At that time, I was sad because I could not enter the kingdom of heaven. I was wondering, what is this place? Where am I standing? Then I saw a huge platform where I was standing. The platform was about 1,000 feet long and 250 feet wide. I I was standing on the extreme left edge of the platform. My initial thought was, why does this platform not have any railing? If I fall, where should I fall? So I looked on my left and down below. I saw an enormous depth. It was a deep, dark dungeon, and if I fell from there, I would fall into the burning lake of fire. I did not want to fall there. So I immediately moved a couple of feet away from the edge so I wouldn't fall by chance. Not being able to go inside the kingdom of heaven, I was very, very sad. I thought there had to be an alternative. I wished there was one. At that time, I saw in the middle of that platform, in the center, there was an altar with 3 steps. On top of the 3rd step, I saw there was a huge throne. And on that throne, it felt like somebody was sitting there. When I looked up, I saw, lo and behold, the Almighty Lord was sitting there. When I saw the Almighty Lord, nobody needed to tell me who He was. I automatically knew He was the Almighty Lord. At that time, I did not know anyone other than God, so I knew that it was God Himself. I started to tremble. He appeared to me like a mighty giant of pure light, with blazing fires in His eyes. When I saw His face, I was totally ashamed of all the wrongful things I had done in my life. Every one of my sins that I had committed was flashed before my eyes. Some of them I had already forgotten, but every one was flashed before my eyes. I could not look at His face a second time. I started to tremble. I was only looking at His feet, begging for His mercy, begging for His grace, begging for His forgiveness. I was continuously looking at His feet and saying, Lord, please forgive me, please forgive me, please forgive me. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that the Lord was not going to forgive me. That would be the end of my life, and that fall into the burning lake of fire would have been my permanent death. As I was looking at His feet, slightly on His left, right on the platform level, I saw a very narrow gate. Through that gate, I could see the entire kingdom of heaven. Needless to say, this was the one and only gate that was open for me. I felt like running to the gate, but I did not have the courage. I am only about 5 feet 6 inches, and the Lord appeared to me. When you stand up there, you'll be at least 75 feet tall. How could I go to the narrow door if the giant didn't want me to go through? I said to myself, No, the only way we can go to the narrow door is if He lets me in. Otherwise, there's not a chance. So I was begging for His mercy. I said, Lord, please, when you see me again, how can I go through this narrow door? Please tell me. I want to go through this. After repeated pleas, He said, I am sending you back to the earth. Go back and complete your unfinished tasks. I will see you again. I begged, please tell me what I need to do to go to this narrow door when you see me next time, but He did not respond. I started to cry out to Him, please tell me, because when I go back to the earth, I'll be making the same mistakes over and over. Then He said to me, when you go back to the earth, I want you to love your family and love your children. He said these are very fundamental things. Then I started to cry out to Him, asking, Lord, please tell me what I need to do. Which church? Which temple? Which synagogue? Which synagogue? Which synagogue? Which synagogue? Where do you want me to go? When I go back, I'll be making the same mistakes over and over. Please tell me what I need to do. Then He said to me, those things are not important to me. I was shocked, because I thought the more religious a person is, the closer to God he is. But God Himself was saying, those things are not important to you. What He meant was, what I want to see from you is your relationship with me. I want to see how true, how sincere, how honest you are with me every day, 365 days a year, 7 days a week. I said, Lord, please, I'm weak. I said, Lord, please, I'm a simple human being. Please tell me what I need to do to go to this narrow door. Then He gave me 5 instructions. The first instruction is, always tell the truth. Do not be afraid to tell the truth. Some people will ridicule you when they hear the truth, but you must tell the truth. Now, the truth to me has 2 meanings. First, don't tell lies. The second meaning is to share the truth of what you witnessed. I am sharing this truth with you. The second is truth with you. The second instruction is, From this day forward, commit no more sins. The wages of sin is death. The third instruction is, surrender yourself completely unto me in your daily life. Let me be the driver in your life. The next instruction, he said, is, walk with me. I didn't understand because I came from a different background. How can I walk with a giant? His one step is going to be, I'd have to run a race just to keep up with one of his steps. But now I understand. Walk with me means to walk in the direction the Lord wants you to go. If I'm going backward and sideways, then we're not walking with Him. And the final instruction, he said, is, be kind to the poor, be generous to the poor. They need your help. We often think people only need financial help. But that's not always the case. People could be poor in many ways. Educationally poor, mentally poor, physically poor, and emotionally poor. But these days what I see most often is that people are spiritually poor, even people who go to church weekly. What he's looking for is a one-on-one, sincere, honest, true relationship with each and every one of us. That's basically what I experienced. They sent me back to that hospital. I was gone for 3 days and 3 nights, and after I came back, I was out of the hospital within 2 weeks with practically no medication at all. And now, I'm back to work, and I'm still on my feet. These things happened to me in October 2006, and I was back to work in November. By the end of December 2006, I was back at my job, and my first project after that was in China. I was going back and forth to China very frequently. I had to start writing the 2 books, he said. So I wrote the first book, and when it got published, my next project was in India. So I was going back and forth quite often. By 2008 or 2009, I had finished the book projects that the Lord asked me to do. But I still didn't know what I had experienced because the mighty giant of pure light that I witnessed was unlike any of the gods and goddesses that I was familiar with. He was completely different. And what did narrow door mean? It was bothering me, and I desperately needed to know the truth today. These things happened to me in October 2006, and I was back to work in November. By the end of December 2006, I was back at my job. My first project after that was in China. I was going back and forth to China very frequently. I had to start writing the 2 books, he said. I wrote the first book when it got published. My next project was in India. I was traveling back and forth quite often. By 2008 or 2009, for quite often. By 2008 or 2009, I had finished the book projects the Lord asked me to do. But I still didn't know what I had experienced. The mighty giant of pure light I witnessed was unlike any gods or goddesses I knew. He was completely different. What did narrow door mean? It was bothering me. I desperately needed the truth. Around 2010, my daughter was invited to join the choir at Grace Church in Middleborough Heights. She invited her mom and me to join. That was my first time attending an Easter service anywhere. The senior pastor, Jonathan Schaefer, spoke about the narrow door. It felt like the sermon was exclusively for me. He quoted Bible verses. I went home and read those verses. What he said matched exactly what I had witnessed. I kept coming back every Sunday to learn more. What I witnessed was, first, he appeared to me as a giant. A very frightening giant with blazing fires in his eyes. But as soon as he spoke, I felt his love, his compassion, his mercy, his grace on me. Through his grace, I realized the God I saw is none other than love. Love is the form of God. My God is full of love. In John 14:6, Jesus says, I am the way, and the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Please surrender your life to God so that you may inherit eternal life. Thanks for watching.